It's a wild world out there, but some worlds are even wilder. Hi, I'm Tyler Habney, and you're listening to Dungeons and Dystopias. Thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Dungeons and Dystopias, a wonderful podcast where I talk about Cyberpunk RED and Dungeons and Dragons. I am Tyler Habney, your host. I am the DM of over 200 combined sessions of Cyberpunk RED and Dungeons and Dragons. So today I am here to reflect upon some of the various many things that make those systems special, at least to me. And today we are going to be continuing our sort of mini-series into the various different roles and specializations you can be in Cyberpunk RED. Today we're going to be discussing solos, which for a lot of people is the Cyberpunk RED class they theoretically have the most experience with. In Cyberpunk 2077, one could argue that V is a solo. Generally just how everything goes. I mean, solos are known for being able to solo things, so V would sort of fit that definition pretty well. But that being said, let's actually talk about what a solo is. So in the Cyberpunk universe, a solo is somebody who's well-trained. Just put that lightly. Typically, a solo is somebody from a military background, like a mercenary or a trained soldier of some kind. But typically, it sort of stems from if a character who is combat capable, so to speak. They're usually well equipped with certain gear, typically cyberware. If there's one person who's borged out at start a character creation, there's a good chance it is likely the solo. But yeah, solo kind of pretty much just the best, I want to say the best, but one of the best combat roles because they are very versatile and they're very good at what they do. They are some of the only classes that can reach certain modifiers for their skills and their abilities. They have quite a lot of utility, and there are a lot of different ways you can play a solo. So we're going to kind of go into that, and I think we should start by talking about, as we have before, the role abilities for this class. So just like tech, solo has points that they can put into various different sort of aspects of their role. Unlike tech, though, they only get 1 point per level. So they kind of have to be a bit selective where they sort of put their stuff. But, hey, sometimes the point spending is worth it. For instance, in the first thing you can do, it'd be damage deflection. Obviously, it's what it says on the tin. If you're playing a solo who is going to be concerned about taking quite a bit of damage, operating as a sort of group tank or something, you would want to put some points into damage deflection. Now, damage deflection is not a one-to-one thing with points. Unfortunately, you do have to spend multiple points in order to get the benefit. So for 2 points, you can decrease the first damage you take this round by 1 point, which is okay. It's pretty good. It can help you stay up a little longer. 4 points, it decreases the damage you take this round the first damage you take this round by 2, 6 points by 3, 8 points by 4, and 10 points by 5. So you can really reduce damage there. Fumble recovery. This one's pretty great, and honestly, I do have some pretty great stories about fumble recovery. For 4 points, so literally on character creation, if you're starting out at level 4, you can get this, and it's the only thing you can get. It is basically the ability to completely ignore critical failures while you're attacking. Anything else is still a critical failure. However, with fumble recovery, if you're attacking somebody, even if you roll a 1, it's not going to be taken as a critical failure. It's just you rolled low, which is really, really good. Like, let me paint a picture for you. Let's say I am a solo with a poor quality shotgun. Poor quality weapons in Cyberpunk RED, if you roll a nat 1, they misfire, or if you critically fail with them, they misfire or they jam up. But with critical fumble recovery, that's not exactly a problem anymore. You can just kind of shoot the gun and not have to worry about it jamming or misfiring because your character is so good and is so able to avoid those fumbles that it's not much of an issue. Now, here's the better part. Since the ability to critically fail has vanished, if your shotgun modifier for your skill is high enough, so let's say like a plus 14, which you can get at character creation, the difficulty value to hit point blank within 0 to 6 meters with a shotgun is 13, which means if you have fumble recovery and a shotgun and enough points in shotgun, you literally cannot miss. Think about that one. You can't critically fail, and your lowest roll out of 1 would be a 15. That beats a 13 10 out of 10 times. So, as long as you're using your shotgun within 0 to 6 meters, you win. You just win. You hit every time unless they have evasion. So, just some food for thought on the fumble recovery there. The next one that solos have the option to put their points into is initiative reaction. This one's pretty simple. It is very, very easy to kind of understand what this one does. For each point you put in initiative reaction, you add 1 to your initiative roll. So if I put all 4 of my starting points into initiative reaction, I would then have a plus 4 to my initiative. Typically, when I throw bosses at my party, I will actually, if the boss is a solo, I'll throw in a couple points into initiative reaction just to, spice things up a bit. And typically doesn't help out, but it's the thought that counts. For players who already have like 8 reflexes, Kerenzikov or any of the other Sandevstan, this is amazing because you can have a pretty high initiative if you try. You can really make sure you go first every single time without fail. Really, honestly, without fail. Let's say I have Kerenzikov, which gives me a plus 2 to my initiative, plus 4 in my initiative reaction. Well, I now have a plus 6 to my initiative, which means I'm probably going to be going first, especially if I have an 8 in reflexes, which would put me at a grand total of plus 14 initiative. Yeah. Really, honestly, just some good stuff there. The next one is going to be precision attack. So this is very much like damage deflection, only it's for more points, and it's it helps you hit better. So precision attack for 3 points, you add a plus 1 to any attacks you make, which can be pretty good. Depending on if you've already maxed out that weapon and that weapon skill, you can go above and beyond. Get a smart weapon, get an excellent quality version, and then get this, and you will be able to hit harder than pretty much anyone else in Night City with that specific weapon. For 6 points, you add plus 2 to any attacks made, and then finally for 9 points, you add plus 3. Really, honestly, kind of simple, kind of easy, not too big of a problem. But having that extra plus 3 to all of your attacks can make quite a difference if you have the points available. But that is precision attack. Very fun, very cool, very good for sniper characters. Very good for aim shots, especially. If you're doing aim shots, that plus 3 is very handy. Spot weakness. So this is the one my players use the most. So spot weakness, it allows you to add damage to your first attack of the round. So if I have a shotgun or a rate of fire 1 attack, I just add damage to that attack. And it is not like precision attack or damage deflection where it's multiple points for additional bonus. No, it's 1 for 1. So if I have 6 solo points, as my players have done, I can dump all 6 points into spot weakness. And that would instantly give me +6 on my first damage roll for every round. Yeah. It can obviously lead to some pretty high numbers when it comes to damage, especially if they roll really well, or if they're using, martial arts or a shotgun or an assault rifle or something. Spot weakness really does pull through and really kind of do the work. If you're considering playing a solo, I would encourage you, do not torture your game master by dumping all of your solo points into spot weakness. There are other options. And more importantly, there are options at different times. But we're not there yet. We have one last solo ability to go through, and that is threat detection. This one is 1-for-1 as spot weaknesses, but this one adds points to your perception checks, which is really cool. If you're out of combat, you can set your points to be threat detection, so that you always have a high perception and can always kind of have a handle on your surroundings. It's pretty great. So, how do these points work? Do you put them in once you get them and then just leave them? No, that'd be too easy. Solos can change their point allocation pretty much on a whim. When they're out of combat, they could just do it. It doesn't really take much. And then they get an opportunity to do it when initiative gets rolled. So if they want to allocate their points on initiative, they can do that. So let's say you have all your stuff in threat detection while you're out of combat. Well, the moment you hit combat, you can take those however many points and put it into spot weakness, precision attack, damage deflection, fumble recovery, all of that just basically in a single turn, and that's for free. You can change it during combat after rolling initiative. However, that takes an action. So it would take a turn, but you can still reallocate your points in the middle of combat. So let's say we're, dealing with a sniper or something, and we're kind of locked down behind this cover, and we need sort of an extra boost in order to, shoot this sniper from a distance. Well, it might be handy for the solo to swap from spot weakness or initiative reaction to precision attack. For the extra added ability to sort of hit and, extra chances that they might hit this sniper. And then after they take that action, their next turn, pop out of cover, fire a shot, and you know what? Because they had a +2 to their attacks made, maybe they hit with an aimed shot, and the sniper goes down. And that's sort of, how things like that kind of go. Generally, solo is, I'd say, for beginners, probably a pretty good class to play. It's just combat focused. You can obviously have solos that are super socially based and stuff like that. In fact, you've had quite a few in my games. But for the most part, the actual mechanical abilities of solo are almost entirely based in combat skills. So really, when you're starting a solo, make sure you know that your team is probably going to be relying on you a lot in combat situations, especially if you have a team that's built more for some people are social, some people are investigative or smart or able to deduce things, and then you got your solo, which is a mean green ass-kicking machine. And you can blow some guy's head off from 3 range quadrants away because you're so great at what you do, and you're kind of the guy that makes sure your team does not get beat up by the bad guys. So yeah, consider trying solo today if you haven't already. I have a feeling most people, when they start this game, will probably give solo a try. And honestly, I do not blame them. So let's move on now to our metaphorical monster of the week. In this week's metaphorical monster of the week, it's hard to say. It's hard to say how much of a monster they can be. But I have my own suspicions. I know it's Night City, and I know who's in charge of this company. So there could be a whole lot of things going on that we don't know behind the scenes. The company I am, of course, talking about is Danger Gal. Now, Danger Gal, on its face, is a private detective company employed entirely by cat girls. I don't know if it's necessarily if they're all cat girls, or if it's just cat people. Like, they could be cat boys and stuff too, but generally just cat people with cat ears. That's who Danger Gal employs. It's kind of their trademark. The motto for Danger Gal is, of course, Little Detective, Big Gun, which is pretty great, honestly. Pretty great of a catchphrase. Now, why am I talking about them in the metaphorical Monsters of the Week section? Well, there's quite a lot going on with Danger Gal. For one, Danger Gal is, I'd say, probably the newest company in Night City. I don't know. That they might also be. I think they might be older than Ziggurat. But that being said, they are one of the newer companies, and they are headed by Michiko Arasaka, the daughter of Kai Arasaka, who died during the whole situation with the Arasaka Tower. Kai Arasaka was the acting CEO of the Arasaka Corporation during 2023 when that tower went kablooey. So, some interesting stuff there. However, she is, at this point, some people might say she's actually sort of disavowed the Arasaka family, or at least she's sort of in charge of her own little faction within the Arasaka family that seems to be against the other sort of factions within Arasaka, which is something we'll talk about when we get to Arasaka as a company. We could probably go into an entire episode about Arasaka. And basically, Michiko has gone on record and has apologized for the Arasaka family's participation in the Fourth Corporate War conflict, which, if you paid attention to the Fourth Corporate War episode, you might know Militech having them apologize for that is pretty rich. So anyways, Danger Gal has gone on to become one of the most popular detective agencies in Night City. They have some of the highest quality investigators this side of California. They often take high society cases, daring exploits. They go after big heisters, undercover stuff. They keep tabs on every single faction and every person of interest that is in Night City, which is fun to think about. And I've told my players this before, since some of them have, reputation and have made names for themselves, there's a very good chance Danger Gal has a file on them and is likely researching them actively, which has, of course, given my players some pause, because they don't know what happens if Danger Gal gets involved with them. But they have gotten involved with Danger Gal a few times, and I even have player characters who have gone on to try and work for Danger Gal because they liked it so much. Now, once again, we're coming back to our question of, why are these people monsters? Well, let's think about it. They're a detective agency run by Michiko Arasaka. Already, the name Arasaka is pretty crazy. We have them going around right now being asked by Elizabeth Kress, the current president of the NUSA and ex-CEO of Militech, to essentially try and dissolve any Arasaka stuff left in the country, which they are doing, to their credit. However, still, we don't quite know how that turns out, considering Michiko winds up in 2077 at the same meeting that all of the other Arasaka family members are at, where Saburo does his thing. Play Cyberpunk 2077 and you'll know what I'm talking about. Get the devil ending, and you will find Michiko is there. So she hasn't exactly completely disavowed her family. So the question being, we don't exactly know how connected Michiko is to the rest of the Arasaka family, and whether or not they have any influence on any of that. It's judged that they might actually be going against Arasaka stuff right now, but it is important to remember Michiko Arasaka has dated Adam Smasher himself. So I don't know if we can call her exactly the paragon of virtue and morality that should be in charge of the highest profile information network in Night City. I don't know. That's just me, though. That'll be it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Please come back next week where we talk a little bit more about Dungeons & Dragons. As for now, though, I'm Tyler Hapney, and this has been Dungeons & Dystopias. Thank you for listening.